Thank you very much. At this point, we'd like to ask His Eminence Kirti Rinpoche to come to the table. Presently, he is the head of the Kirti Monasteries in Tibet and India, and we are honored and privileged that you are here. Thank you. And just make sure both your microphones are turned on. Yeah. Welcome.
I
would like to say Tashi Delek, which is a Tibetan form of greeting, and would like to express my regret that I have to seek the help of a translator. I'll give a brief introduction of myself. I'm Kirti Rinpoche. I'm the 11th incarnation of the Kirti Rinpoche. I have close relationship with the many monasteries under the Kirti monastic community in Tibet. I would like to explain briefly the situation, the general situation in Tibet, and in particular about my region. And I would thank you. I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I have the text in Tibetan, but that is of no use here. So therefore, I have a translation, a summary of which will be read. It looks like I don't really have to explain the general situation in Tibet. You all seem to be well aware of it. I have a compilation of photographs of the situation in Tibet as well as a documentation of what the situation there is today, and I would like to submit it to the commission. I've come here in essence to share with you the aspirations of the Tibetan people in Tibet who out of desperation are in committing actions in Tibet today. Since they don't seem to have any avenues to voice their feelings, even to voice the feelings of what they do in a day, and therefore in desperation they have resorted to the ultimate way of drawing attention to their issue through their self-immolation. Most of the majority of the Tibetans in Tibet today live in a situation which is like a house arrest in any other country. In particular, the monastic institutions and the monastic community in Tibet are considered the main enemies by the Chinese authorities and are treated as such. In particular, in the Ngapa area of Amdo, the experience of the people or the grievances of the people have been for 3 generations now. Even before this government of China came into place, during the Long March period, the people in Amdo Ngapa suffered, and that was the first time when the Tibetans faced famine.
Ani te nibate tanda tikapte ta jana ke wan jurne pola shivichen ro ta aye se ta tenis wa chike ta daneng lo tu part ta petre jami sennon da nyanon da kasina yobate ta chi yobate kanga number chenchen ba chha de yor.
The second period where the Tibetans were wounded was during the time after the Chinese said they had liberated Tibet, and what happened thereafter. You all know what the situation was.
Teni da moto sambate ta tensan jami mabu tachi on che tachi on salon chi metegela ta jami kange shu chechi tanda solu dancing metegeti chadayor.
The third generation of Tibetans who have been wounded and who have grievances now is those generation of Tibetans who have been born and brought up under this communist system, and that is what we are seeing today.
Tanda pumi yonzo ke kange ke ta penasa ti mema raja never chimpu chadayo ina ta lu yonzo majabde tigi ta nasagi kaso 나로 던세데 다단다 ngawa shoda teni ma tumba chire ma to pu yongzo ne ta chigo chikjan re.
So what you see in Ngaba today is just the pus that comes out of all the wound that is in the hearts of all Tibetans.
제상 다 ngawa shone hakwa ta chi kange로 최고에 짐제 가르서 다 곰바 템바 곰바텔라 곰바다 아니 추시 겐든 발라 당부 휴지
The main factor for the problems in the Ngaba area is because of China's restrictive policies and extreme hostility against the monastic communities and institutions there. These are all against the law, and it's all done under the whims and fancies of the officials.
배차잖아. 단다고 분소 리보 메라당에 되게 아쿠 아장 되게 돼 메세베 장 분야도 세베 나니여선 아니 로지지 중이 두신 좀 다지요.
For example, the uncle of Punzo, one of those Tibetans who self-immolated, was threatened with a sentence of 11 to 12 years, mainly because by just alleging that, charging him with murder.
아니 재미게 줄기 수주인선 공 주민들의 소야를 주민들의 소야도 주민들나만 돌 되어가라 아니 셴단 레시 셴게 레시바기 다쇼 가르치야들라 killen지고 있는 주요.
They do say, and they do have some religious regulations, but when it comes to implementation, it's all at the command of the local officials.
제상 던데인데다 춤도 정부 사원이 매야지다 메산이 레시바기 간지 차등이 지금 이수로.
Therefore, in terms of the law, there is no justice, and it's all at what the local officials desire and command.
던데게 베트가 로다 나와지는 베트가 좀 군바 정관라 진 나와 dwin 라즈레나 베츠는 식침부 쉬지온데 아니 다 소소 대알레 소알레 소타한테 야츠네 아니 고소 소타네 아니
Under such a situation which prevailed for more than 7 months, people have felt that rather than living under such a situation, it's better for them to die, and therefore they have been committing these self-immolations. If you compile all their aspirations that they have been voiced, those who committed self-immolation, it's basically this. They would like His Holiness the Dalai Lama to return. They would like religious freedom. They would like freedom. Most probably Congressman Wolf mentioned it, that it for small reasons like sending a letter from Tibet, people get imprisoned.
The
situation is so much tense that there seems to be discrimination in terms of how the Chinese government approaches Tibetans and how they approach Chinese. Tibetans don't seem to be getting those very rights that are enjoyed by the Chinese.
재미 중국 돌아는 뭐 랑중 중세다 랑중 크르세다 랑중 그 중국만 보서야 돼.
Under Chinese laws, there are different administrative areas like autonomous region, autonomous prefectures, etc.
중국 되게 되다 파샤 재미 쭈마지가 톱당 되게 제가 제 보면 저 톱톱이야 말이야.
Live along those special provinces. Tibetans do not seem to enjoy even the ordinary rights or that are enjoyed by the Chinese.
배나 재미 공부 저게 랍라 니 쇼야래 줄루글 랍라 니 쇼야래 간저 법의 공부게 줄루글 랍라 니 얘기지게요 말이야.
For example, a Chinese monastic institution can start a school, religious school, whereas a Tibetan monastic institution cannot have a monastic school.
너와 그때 공부라 단다 줄루게 랍라드네 체지다 따사나면 그때 공부 생각들라 체니어래 니가 라파체 저와 로충아 직동 던지야지요 대니가 랍라니가 고지하는 정부정시 당하래.
For example, in Ngaba Kirti Monastery, there was one school, and then in Taksang, there were two schools altogether with having 1,700 monk students. But all these were forced to be closed down by the authorities.
제상 제머리지 제쇼와도 범머리지 제마쇼와 던제가 뺐다 이외 전부 쉬위차는 다 강에 쉬위는 수.
Therefore, the problem is aggravated by such racially discriminatory policies where the Chinese can do something whereas Tibetans cannot.
제상 단도디나 다 번나라 장는 단다 제다 제신받대 요거 참조 영화지 그 남바서 간들 논시다 뭐고 그때 난고도.
To sum up, I would like to appeal to you to put pressure and to do whatever possible to change the situation in Tibet.
아니 니바텔라네 단다 메라당사네 시스 망이 뭐 가시요래 다 되게 선보 디나 선보 요에나 선보 되게 때 소소 나야지 인지미지 나야지 개심을 싫어하셔도 연jo지.
Secondly, from among those who have committed self-immolation, some of them may have survived, and if that be the case, then I would like you to see that these people's lives can be saved.
아니 선바텔라 딱 간들 지 범미 되게 될라 취도 의정을 돌아 다 소소 제초와지 그 인지미지 받는 식이다 접줄 남바서 내 난게 다 시제나 때 돌아 남바서 신는 학과도 직전으로 나세.
Thirdly, I would like you to continue your support for the Tibetan people in terms of preservation of their religious and cultural rights and traditions.
아니 바제 인지대 인지로나네.
Then we will read briefly from the testimony.
Okay.
Can I do-